All right, here's a few news stories that I thought were interesting. I think the most important one is this, Zscaler. I just learned about Zscaler recently from Doug Spindler, and this is the product you can buy to implement Zero Trust. I was talking about it earlier in a news segment that very few people will see. In the old days, up until 2002, Microsoft recommended that you make a network by having a bunch of computers hardwired to switches and routers in a room, and that was your trusted network. And then you had a firewall to protect you from bad internet on the perimeter of the network. And that way you had a trusted zone and an untrusted zone, and you'd only filter the traffic between the two. But the modern solution is Zero Trust. And the way it works is instead of your networks being, instead of all your devices being connected, I wonder if there's any way to get rid of this thing. Inspect and delete, perhaps. I guess not. Anyway, as usual, I don't understand web pages where they put garbage on top of stuff you want to see, and it won't go away. Oh, my, okay. Let me just reload this. Well, there. I was hoping to point to this picture, except the part of it that they've decided to make invisible. All right, there we are. So this is what happens. Each one of your devices will connect individually to the cloud, and then its identity will be determined by Active Directory if you use in Microsoft together with Zscaler, and then it will decide what you're allowed to access, which internet destinations you're allowed to go to for your company policy, what apps can you get to, what other things can you get to, like shared data on OneDrive and such. And so instead of having physical proximity create a zone of trust, like all the computers in one room connected to the same switch, every computer connects just to the cloud, to the Zscaler cloud, which then routes your traffic, determines who you are, and then determines what you're allowed to do individually. So you don't trust anybody, and if one of these machines is compromised, it doesn't have the ability to infect the other machines. It'll only accept whatever it's allowed to connect to here. This is apparently a big hit, used by all the big companies, very expensive, but effectively, Zscaler is what you can buy to implement Zero Trust networking. Now, just checking for comments, which there are no new ones. Ascension is some kind of health chain of hospitals. I don't think they're around here, but they got a ransomware so bad that they're redirecting ambulances. So that's pretty bad. That's the kind of thing which arguably causes people to die. So that's bad. And Dell had 49 million customer records stolen. Now, they didn't really get a lot of sensitive detail like social credit card numbers here, but what's interesting is how they did it. They have a developer portal where you can access a portal for partners, resellers, and retailers, and it turns out a criminal can just make a portal by registering a fake company, and they just approve it without verifying anything. So after he was in there, you then have the ability to request information about users with no limit. So he can just run a script to scrape them out of the API, and he was able to steal millions of records. Now, the records don't have a whole amount of information about people. All they have is order data, warranty, customer names, numbers, and order numbers. But anyway, it's still pretty unprofessional and arguably comes from an unprotected API. Although in this case, it looks like they attempted to protect it by forcing you to be a recognized retailer, but then they failed to enforce that. Apparently, people make cold brew coffee where you soak your coffee in cold water for 24 hours, but now you can do it in 3 minutes with ultrasound. And people say this makes coffee with less acid and it's better, so that'll probably be the new hot thing you hear among the coffee experts. Elon Musk's X is trying to do stuff that doesn't actually obey the law. They have a lawsuit against a data scraping company that accessed Twitter systems and scraped out a lot of data and then sold it. And so they want to say that's illegal, according to them. But according to them, they failed to state a claim, so their lawsuit is not valid. And there's so many of these arguments these days. The other big one is everybody is scraping everybody's data to use to train AI, and there are huge debates going through the courts of exactly, is this legal, under what circumstances is this legal, do you need to pay people to use their data for a purpose like that? And I think there hasn't been much of a resolution here. So I didn't know this. Lockbit is one of the famous ransomware operators, and I didn't know the founder had been taunting law enforcement and offering $1 million reward to anyone who could find him. Well, the FBI has now found him. And so I don't know if he's going to get the $1 million reward, but anyway, they caught him. At least they had revealed his identity. Now, he's a Russian national, so I don't think they can put him in prison unless he leaves Russia. I don't think Russia's going to extradite him anywhere. But identifying him is, I guess he owes him $1 million, but I think a criminal will not feel it mandatory to live up to his word. So this was very interesting. There's a form of deafness where children lack the gene to create some chemical in the body that is necessary for hearing. And they are able to give them gene therapy in the form of a single dose of some kind of gene at either 11 months, and they tried another infant 4 years old, and this permanently provides their hearing, goes all the way right back up to normal hearing from complete stone deafness. And they think they only have to do one treatment for life. However, that's testing it in rats, and rats have a short lifespan, so nobody really knows whether this hearing will deteriorate as they grow older. But all they did was take a virus, modify the virus to carry the gene you should have, and inject it into, I think, your ear, somewhere in your body, and it restored to your body the ability to create the missing enzyme or whatever it is you need. They mention the name of it. Can't find the name of the chemical. There's some chemical they're missing. Anyway, that's pretty cute. These things, I've seen several of these recently developed gene therapies, and they sound miraculous, but so far they're only treating very rare conditions. But, as this technology advances, they'll probably be able to treat more. This has got quite a lot of news. I heard about this on, I think, Security Now. Russians are attacking GPS, jamming and spoofing, and it's fouling up traffic to and it's even freezing the ability to have air traffic to nations near Russia. So it's pretty ruthless. GPS apparently is quite fragile, and nobody has any good idea how to fix this. So that's the thing to be aware of. So many modern airplanes rely on GPS so much that they can't even land without GPS, and yet GPS is unreliable. So the U.S. NIST, which is the government agency that maintains the CVE list, has been failing for more than 2 months to update it with essential information like what products are affected by the vulnerabilities. And so CISA has an enrichment project to try to improve this called Vulnrichment. So this is important. CISA is very good. Unfortunately, we've sort of accidentally fallen into a situation where almost every vulnerability scanning product and even defense product and everything all depend on the CVE list, but the CVE list is maintained by an underfunded government agency, NIST, that has no real obligation to keep it up, and they've not been keeping it up. So we do need to have an alternative or some kind of terms of service agreement with NIST or something. Right now, an essential part of this vulnerability management system is not working. And so this is an issue I've heard about for at least 20 years. If you put an ad on any website, you will pay like a penny per click. But a bunch of people run bots that will just automatically click, or they hire people in countries where labor is cheap to just click on ads. And so a lot of those clicks are fake. And it used to be, I remember Yahoo ads maybe 15 years ago, you could look at the reports and you'd see which click came from which IP address, and you'd see that like half of them are obviously fake, like multiple clicks per second from the same IP address. And it's a shame to have to pay for them. Reddit will not tell you the IP addresses the click came from. They claim they don't have that information. And somebody sued and said, I want that information to see how many clicks are fake. And Reddit refused to provide them. And he said, well, you have to provide them. And so that's going through the courts. Reddit claims they make some effort to remove the fake clicks, but I've never heard of anybody actually trying to get rid of the fake clicks because it's just free money for the ad companies and the hosting providers. We'll see. But it certainly would be nice to see some kind of standard here, because all the way back to the beginning of online advertising, I think there has been a huge problem with the fact that you're paying for a service, and a lot of the service you're getting is fake and not real, so your money is being wasted. All right, well, I think that's enough news. I'm going to stop this.